What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour, presented by PicksWise, powered by FanDuel. I'm your host, the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Another day, another dollar in the NBA playoffs. I'm on fire since the playoffs started on this show. If you're joining me, you're here every day, you're cashing in. If you're not, well, hopefully you're here now and you can cash in. And we can keep this high-level selection stuff going. We've got a great guest today. He's a friend of the show, Martin Weiss. You can find him in the Lemon Pepper Parlay podcast. That's a tongue twister. You can find him on Fox Sports. You can find him everywhere. Martin Weiss, you're a producer of Fox Sports. You do a great job. You're always mixing it up. You just graduated from tell us about that. That's exciting. That's very cool.
Yeah, I just got my master's in specialized journalism from USC.
Bang.
So there you go.
Something I'll never do. So good for you. So what
Thank
is
you, man.
what is
Appreciate
specialized journalism? What would that be? What would that be?
Specialized journalism is it's the only difference as far as I can tell is if you've come straight out of college, they'll put you in the journalism program. But if you've worked a little bit in the business, they'll put you in the specialized journalism program so you could focus on more things. So I was doing more like hosting stuff and writing stuff as opposed to doing like some of the more technical things that I do.
Yeah.
To have all these nice things.
Specialized journalism, that's something that will help on the resume instead of just journalism. So good for you.
I think so.
Great work. A couple more games tonight. We got 3 of them in the association. Playoffs have continued to be more and more interesting. Series are shaking out. I think they're shaking out more like we probably think they will. Some series are kind of figuring themselves out from a 2-0 standpoint. The series we think are going to be 1-1 or be close are. So let's kind of recap what we saw last night, and then we'll get into a couple of games and give out some selections. How have you been doing in the playoffs, Martin? Have you doing all right?
First week, that Saturday, Sunday, I killed it. Let's see, Monday was a tough one. Tuesday, I was better. And then yesterday, I was a cool 0 for 3. So,
well, listen, it's a roller coaster. It's something that you got to keep working at, as you know. I think I saw one player on tonight, and I'm going to say I agree with it. I won't tell what it is, but what we saw last night was a very good night for me, of course. The Wizards have no shot against the Sixers in this series. Sixers completely controlled this game. Matisse Thybulle was absolutely electric. This is what the series is. I mean, Washington... you knew Philadelphia was going to come out with some real fervor defensively after not playing particularly well in Game 1. I didn't think they'd hold them under 100, but I think for them it's really just about we're not going to let anyone else beat us. If Bradley Beal scores 30, salute to him, but they just don't have anyone else that can beat them. Sixers obviously got a lot more out of Ben Simmons offensively. I thought Matisse Thybulle was absolutely electric on the defensive end. They got a good – how about the bench? The bench played well also. So just really a complete effort. As we've talked about on the show, I think it's pretty clear this series is going to be a sweep likely, and so is that other Brooklyn series. But a great defensive performance and a solid night for the Sixers.
Yeah, I had leaned on the Wizards that game just because I thought that the combination of Russ and Brad would be able to keep them close. I never thought they were going to win. But at this point, I'm betting Sixers for the rest of that series. That thing's over, and especially with Russ limping off the court last night, like it's sad times in Washington. I think a buddy of mine's a Wizards fan, and I saw him tweet like a picture of him Googling who can the Wizards pick at 11, like at halftime of Game 2, and I was like, that's pretty much where Wizards fans should be feeling right now. These top 2 seeds in the East are just going to cakewalk through.
Yeah, I mean, Bucks Nets will be interesting. You have to figure the Sixers will have the upper hand in the next series as well. But by the way, to all you NBA fans, find a new slant. The popcorn slipped out of the guy's hands. Stop blaming the fan. It wasn't his. We ride for Philadelphia. It was a slip. It slipped out of his hands, all right? Find a new slant, people. It's Russell Westbrook. Yeah, he made that up. It didn't really happen. It slipped.
I got you. Okay.
Remember that. Drexler says, when does Beal leave? I don't. I mean, look, they're not that bad. I mean, I think they're a playoff team. They just got to get some bodies around Bradley Beal. They need like a stretch four. They need someone that they can, they need a big. I mean, they don't have any rim protection in this series, man.
But also, like, the thing about Bradley Beal leaving is at every turn, Bradley Beal has ran the Damian Lillard playbook of I like it here, I want to stay here, I don't want to trade.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he's good. I think he likes it. He wants to stay there.
Yeah, and he's the bell cow of that team. He's done a great job. The other couple of games we saw last night, great game between the Knicks and Hawks. Knicks prevail. I think the Knicks, you have to figure this. I think the Hawks will win ultimately, but the series is going to be close. They were obviously last night, I think, much better. Randall was much better. Derrick Rose gave them a ton. They were just a little bit more balanced. There's not a lot of wiggle room in this series. Trae Young is obviously better than anyone the Knicks have, but Knicks used a really good second half. The Hawks just couldn't make shots. The shots that they were making in game one didn't go down in game two. Crowd really helped, but now you got to go back to Atlanta for a couple of games. And look, I'm going to point this out. Look, I know the Knicks fans are happy, but they acted like they won the NBA title last night on the street. I mean, what an embarrassment. What a bunch of losers. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's tough. Like it reminds me of a period when I remember when the Lakers were in their purgatory between Kobe and LeBron, right? Yeah. And they signed Ramon Sessions as point guard. And people were just so excited about Ramon Sessions. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? It's like being really excited that the new Applebee's opened up in town. It's like, yo, you can go eat there if you want to, but how hype are you really going to be about this fact? Yeah. And if we are super excited about this, maybe we need to move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rough, man. Definitely rough. I mean, seeing you celebrate one playoff win, I mean, something we would never do in this city. I mean, it's like they blew confetti out of it's surprising they didn't do that. I mean, what kind of loser fan base does that?
I'll say this though about the Knicks. I was going back and forth with a bunch of different guys, like trying to figure out what should I play on this game. I ended up going with the Hawks. But when you look at the last 5 minutes of that game, that's where the Knicks can win, right? Because the Knicks can just lock down.
Yeah, they did.
But offensively, I just don't think the Knicks have the firepower to keep up with the Hawks.
The problem that the Hawks had last night, I think when you played what you played, there's, again, not a lot of wiggle room in the series, but I don't know what the Hawks are doing the last 3 or 4 minutes. Just jacking up threes, bad shots. They need to allow Trae Young to just do his thing. Maybe you get a kick out three to Bogdanovich or whatever, but there were bad shots taken. DeAndre Hunter took some bad shots. It's just one of those things. There's, again, not a ton of room. So
I was about to say, my last note on that series is I thought DeAndre Hunter was going to be a difference maker in this series. And I think in game 2, Atlanta really tried to make him a difference maker in that series. And it did not work out that. Like, it seemed like there was an edict, like, yo, DeAndre, go shoot the ball, go be aggressive offensively. And I think it hurt him a lot.
That's not going to be a good blueprint, frankly. I mean, he's a good player, but Trae Young needs out of the ball. I mean, give it a rest.
Yeah, I agree.
Look at this. BJ Covers in here. Oh, no.
My man.
BJ Covers, the man, the myth.
He's one of the people that was trying to convince me to take the Knicks last night. I was over here telling him how he was wrong.
Well, he was onto something. He had it right.
He was.
By the way, shout out to BJ. I saw a video he did. BJ has like the Vlad TV set up in his house where like he has like it's all black behind him and it's him with like the mic like that.
He's got a situation like this. Interviews? I got you. I got an NBA play for you today.
He like has his guests like just sitting there and there's like a mic in front of him. I'm surprised that BJ doesn't have someone behind the camera like Vlad does, where he's just like, you know how you never see Vlad, right? He's always just like talking to the guy. But shout out to BJ. BJ's an interesting gambling Twitter character. He's doing his thing, so shout out to him. Let's get to some games tonight. Wait, we have one more game last night.
I'm about to say,
how could I forget?
My game of the night. Game of the night. My boy Ja Morant with 47 almost was this close to covering the 10.
But they lost by 3. It gave up 141. Yikes.
I mean, you give up 141 points, it's not going to happen. But
No, you're not going to beat anybody.
I
will say I was worried for a while because the Jazz completely Reggie Miller choked it away. They were up big. Third quarter was not good, but then they figured it out, fed off the crowd. Donovan Mitchell made some big shots. Look, having him back is obviously big. I mean, that team needs him badly. I don't need to tell anybody that. But your boy John Moran, he's very good. I love the kid. I think it's clear at this point. You're definitely taking him over Mr. Zion Williamson because Zion's somewhere and Ja's somewhere, and you guys can tell the difference. But yeah, very nice performance from the Jazz. It's going to be a good series. Probably going to be better than we think. Grizzlies are a live dog for sure.
I tell you, quick side note, Extra Point Podcast Network that I work for, also powered by FanDuel. Cousin Sal runs it, right? So for my graduation, he texted me and said, hey, I was going to send you an edible arrangement. Instead, I'll give you $250. Do whatever you want with it, right?
Nice.
So I took $1.25 and put it on the Lakers to win the whole thing. At plus, this is before the play-ins, right? So it was plus 460. I took 35 apiece, and I put it on the Mavericks to win their series against the Clippers and the Grizzlies to win their series against the Jazz.
Whoa.
So I was super crossing my fingers last night as I'm in the car driving home from going eating dinner, watching the first half, and I'm hearing that the Grizzlies have made it a 2-point game in the third quarter. Boy,
they're a live dog, brother. They are a live dog. They have played very well. Taylor Jenkins done a great job with this team. This series is far from over, man. 1-1, heading back to Memphis.
And I know that they're 8 seed, 1 seed. We won't talk about too much longer, but Utah got no answer to guard those two guards, Brooks and Morant. If Brooks doesn't get in foul trouble, that's an entirely different game. If Brooks can stay, keep his head about him, that Memphis team is real live.
He's turned into also a very good defender, which any great team needs. So, he's done. They both done great jobs. Hustle Man, what's up? Thanks for watching the show. Who else do we have in here? Sam, I Need Money. We mentioned BJ, Drexley. This troll goof is still in here. Little Man's ignoring my success and not sticking to his word per usual. Listen, I did ask you to come on the show, and you can. DM me on Twitter or email me, as I told you, and we'll get you on the show. But again, there's rules, Jimmy, because most trolls don't want to show their face. You must show your face. Okay, we're not doing this Vlad TV hide behind the camera stuff. You come on the show.
Do you mean your boy wants to do the show like this? I don't understand.
He probably wants to wear sunglasses and a hood, and he doesn't want to show any I don't know who this guy is. I mean, this guy's a weirdo. He's in here every day talking about how he hits these games. Nobody ever has any proof of it, but he hits them. Hey, listen, Jimmy, good for you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.
Hey, man, you know what? I'm always a better gambler tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
whenever I'm always a better gambler tomorrow.
Exactly.
I always hit my bets the next day, every time.
Yes, Jimmy always wins. He's a 4-0 every day, the next day. Exactly. All right, let's get into some matchups today, and we got some good ones. I've been really keyed in on this series, Milwaukee and Miami. Took Miami in Game 1, took the Bucks in Game 2. And we come back tonight with the Bucks down in South Beach at Miami. Bucks a 1.5-point favorite. Total is 224. Here's the thing, okay? I hate to tell you, I don't think a change of venue is going to do too much. There are chronic problems that the Bucks face to the Miami Heat. And again, just because you go to South Beach isn't going to change much. I hate to tell you. Nobody can guard Giannis Antetokounmpo. The fact that you lose Jay Crowder really hurts in this series from last year. Trevor Ariza can't guard Giannis. It's just that simple. And if you can get in the way of Giannis, this group has been hitting shots. I mean, they were terrific the other night from 3. And they're really, again, looking like Game 1 was just one of those outliers. Drew Holiday presents a much different answered guard than what they've had in years past. He really allows him to do other things. He can take the slack a little bit off Middleton and off of Giannis. There's been chronic issues as well with Miami all year. They haven't made shots. Tyler Hero's not been as big a factor. And I'm going to say it now. Guys like Kelly Olynyk really helped this team. Oladipo I thought would be a big help. Dragic's been good, but none's not been as big a factor. Jimmy Butler's really, I think, been bothered by the length. So is Bam Adebayo, for that matter. Giannis and Chris Middleton, all these guys, Lopez, they're just all big and long. They're not really going to let him get into the paint and get to the line like he loves to do. I just think this is a bad matchup. It just is.
I think it is too. I'm with the Bucks. I actually locked in the Bucks on the money line yesterday. So I gave it out today. I think it's at 118 on FanDuel. Whenever I gave it out, it was at 118. Whenever I recorded my video, but yesterday I locked it in at minus 125 for the money line, just because I'm with you in lockstep. Like most of the time, you might get a little boost, especially going travel to Miami. But this Bucks team, first of all, they don't seem like the big party type, right? So I don't think they're having the Miami effect of like being at Live on Sunday type thing. But like also like this ain't your granddaddy's Bucks team. Like Drew Holiday, like the Bucks in the last couple of years, what they needed was a guy who could come down the court and set up the offense and also could guard guards. Because Chris Middleton is a good defender, but is he like an ultimately great defender? Like is he a guy that you want guarding your best players? Probably not. Drew Holiday answers all those questions for them. And also, too, one of the things you didn't already address in your breakdown, there's something really weird about the Miami Heat right now.
Yeah, all season, too.
All season they've been weird. I think that really what happened was, and we've seen it before in past places with Jimmy Butler, right? When Jimmy Butler is your alpha dog, when Jimmy Butler is the guy driving your car, when he gets fed up and he gets frustrated with the players around him, he's done. Game 1, 4 for 22. Game 2, he only takes 10 shots and is minus 34. That to me, it shows me an extreme cause for concern, because you saw what Jimmy Butler can do when he is engaged, like last year's playoffs.
Right.
So
that's exactly what I think this series is shown. He's just lost against the Bucks. And again, I don't think that's going to just ratchet up and he's going to get better because he goes to Miami. I'm blown away this number's what it is. I know it's at home for the Heat and whatever, but I mean, I'm not really sure. Look at all that the Bucks didn't do in game 1. What were they, 5 for 31 from 3? No one really did a ton outside of Giannis, and they still won by 4 or 5, whatever it was.
In game 1, they're being carried by the likes of Duncan Robinson, who, as a Michigan fan, I will always have a soft spot in my heart for, but that's not the playoff answer.
No, it's not. I'm on the Bucks. I agree.
And I had a prop I was thinking about too for this. I wanted to get your opinion because I'm not a super prop guy.
Yeah.
But with less games, I'm just leaning into it. I think either Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, their points/assists are both set at 25.5. And I think that Holiday could break that. I think Holiday will go over 25.5 points and assists. What do you think about that?
I think the only issue that I have with maybe Holiday props is just that he's having to do so much in this series. I mean, he's really having to defend, as you alluded to. It's kind of like Dylan Brooks in a way. He's got so much to do, and could he get it? Yeah, he's a great offensive player. You said 25.5, just points?
No, points and assists.
Yeah, I was going to say that seemed high. Yeah, I mean, you look at the first 2 games. He wasn't really much of a factor offensively the other night, but in the first game he was very good. You need him to play 40 minutes. That's what you got to hope for.
Yeah.
The problem you have with this series is, I think it can go sideways in games. I think if you're going to bet props in this series, or in any series really, I think you more or less, to me, want to focus on the ones that you think are going to be close, like the Knicks Hawks, where the game's not a blowout. If I'm looking at a prop in this game, I think it's pretty simple. Just stick with Giannis. They can't guard Giannis, as most teams can. And who are you going to throw at him? Dwayne Dedman? Give me a break. Trevor Ariza? I mean, they're just that's not answers. They're not answers. I do think that when you look at this game, it's obviously, over the years I've looked at games and said, Does that seem too good to be true? Yeah, but I thought the Knicks seemed too good to be true last night, frankly. I just thought it was a good bounce back spot for them. I think Milwaukee's the play.
I did too. That's why I tried to zag and got zigged.
Yeah, and that's fair. But yeah, I'm going Bucks. You like the Bucks? Let's rock with it here. All right, let's go to our next game, and we are going to go to the LA Lakers. The LA Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. This one, I got to tell you, it seems a bit rich, doesn't it? Chris Paul is probable, according to reports. As far as, unless I'm missing something, Martin, Chris Paul looks to be good.
One second, I got to take this call. I'm sorry, I got to take this call. I'll be
Fairly,
right back.
hey, listen, if you have an important call, do it. I'm going to go through my breakdown.
All right, I'll be right back.
How about that? Martin Weiss with an important call. Hey, he's got to take the call. You got to give it to him. Let me get through the breakdown here. So Chris Paul is probable. And I'm a little concerned just because he wasn't, frankly, very effective in game one. And it showed. The Lakers won the game and, won by 9. The Lakers are really good defensively. And the Suns have gotten to 99 and 102 in this series. It's going to be a low-scoring series. That's what this series is going to be. The Suns kind of reverted back defensively to what I think they are. They're going to struggle against Anthony Davis. They're going to struggle against LeBron James. They're going to struggle against Dennis Schroeder. When those guys are on, this team's going to be tough to beat. You throw in the fact that Drummond gives you 15, they're going to be hard to beat, especially because they're so good defensively. It's very tough to bet this series right now just because I don't know exactly if Chris Paul is completely healthy. And I have an issue with that. 7 is rich. 7 is a lot of points. And 7 is a lot of points for a Laker team that at times struggles offensively. I mean, what can the Lakers really put up each night at this point? Probably at most 110. We can look at the fact that Kuzma only had 2 points in 20 minutes. Caruso wasn't a factor. Neither was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But again, this is for me really about whether Chris Paul is healthy. And I don't know that he really is. All in all, I'm just going to kind of stay away from this one. Numbers down to 6.5 at some spots, 212 on a total. I think it's still pretty rich. The other night, it still only got to 211. But there is a lot of excitement with the fact that Paul's more of a factor, Kuzma's more of a factor. I'm out on this series. If I'm going to play it, I would probably look at Anthony Davis props. It's become more and more clear that he's going to be a factor in this series. He's just too good. He owned them in 2 out of 3 games so far this season. So I'm going to lean on that, but I'm ultimately staying away. Do you like anything here, Martin?
Yeah. So, first of all, sorry about that. The boss was calling, and it was a random time for them to be calling. So I was like, let me make sure that everything is good.
You don't got to make an excuse. Important call is an important call. I got to tell you, and I mean this, if somebody called me that doesn't normally call me right now, I'm going to answer. And
that's exactly what the scenario was. This is the wrong time of day for me to be getting this phone call. Let me make sure that everything is.
And in my case, I have had times where, look, if that number blocked from Washington D.C. calls you, because if you know where I'm going with this, that's the feds, and that's a boy of mine that I don't talk to much. And if he calls me, I can't just call him back, so I got to take it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Understood.
I get it. Don't worry about it. What do you like?
With the Lakers, I agree. The 7 is a bit much. If I were to, forced to bet it, I would eat the 7 points and take the Lakers. Because this thing comes down to if Chris Paul can't go, which I have no faith that he's going to be able to go at any level of being effective. He wasn't good. As soon as and you know what the thing is too, they said it was a shoulder thing, but as soon as he went down, and forgive me if I'm repeating what you just said, he grabbed at his neck. And then as soon as he comes back in the game, like you notice the ball's just not bouncing back up to his hand the way it always has, we've been watching Chris Paul for what, 15, 16 years, and his ball just bam, 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 So without Chris Paul, the drop off to campaign is just so so stark.
He's a solid player, but you're right. It's not the same at all.
And that's nothing to do. That's no shade to campaign.
No,
We're talking about
not
future
at all.
Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying?
Not at
Future
all.
first ballot Hall of Famer Chris Paul. Like, there's no shade. Like, don't get me wrong. If Skip and Shannon didn't go and I had to go fill in for one of them, the drop off would be steep. And that's nothing to say about me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just
Right.
some of these guys are doing this every day. They're really good, so on and so forth. So just that with that drop off, I can't rock with it. Like, I agree with you on the Owen had a great point just now. Cam can score, but Paul runs the entire offense. That's a great point. Because with a team like you're the Suns, you got to try to beat the Lakers. You need to control possessions. You need to be smart. You need to pick up those cheap fouls that Chris Paul will pick up. And it's just, if he can't go, this series is over with. And I think Vegas knows this series is over with. And that's why you see this as a 7 and not like a 5 or a 4.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it and you say, okay, 6.5 even at this hour with a possible not 100% Paul, and the Lakers have it's a home game here for the Lakers. I don't know if it's that rich really. This is just terrible luck. I mean, Clutch Points wrote a really good blog about this, that the Suns are basically screwed if they don't have Chris Paul. I mean, and they are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they need him. He's a Hall of Famer. They need his playmaking ability and his defense. He's a great defender. It's kind of like that. I'm trying to describe it. It's kind of just like that. The Lakers always seem to get lucky in this kind of situation. They always seem to find a way, especially this year. They kind of limp into the playoffs, but they don't really, and we know they're still very strong. I mean, if you can tell me who's better than the Lakers in the West right now, and you ultimately trust to beat the Lakers, I'd like to hear it, because there isn't anyone. Honestly, it's weird at this point. I think the best competition to them would be either Dallas or Portland. I don't trust Portland's defense, but
the only team in the West that I can see threatening the Lakers is the Mavericks.
Right. I mean, and again, I don't know if they're completely, going to win. They're up 2-0. They should get the job done, but yeah, it's fascinating. I'm staying away from the game. Are you playing this? Do you have a play on this game?
No, I'm not playing it. If I popped back in right when you're talking about Anthony Davis props. I agree with that. I think that this series right now is going to be the Lakers officially figuring out which big man they're going to play next to AD. Right? So is it going to be Gasol? Is it going to be Drummond? They're going to figure it out here in this series. And I'm thinking that it's going to end up being Drummond. And you see in game 2 that AD hasn't, there's been much made about AD and Drummond being on the court at the same time and the spacing and so on. But I've had to look up a couple numbers. It's not that bad. AD's had some really pretty good games when Drummond plays about 20 minutes or so. So I would look into that. I think because last game 1, Drummond played 19 minutes. Game 2, Drummond played 24 minutes. And game 1, Anthony Davis had 13 points. Game 2, he had 34.
That's good. That's good stuff right there. So true as well. And you look back to last year when they had Dwight Howard, he was a force. He needs that kind of duo. And that's why a guy like Drummond's huge. So yeah, Drummond was good. 15. I said that when you were gone. That's when those 4 are on, throw Drummond in there too, or Kuzma, whoever you pick. They're very tough to beat because they're so good defensively. Without Chris Paul as well, I think they kind of are what they are offensively. Devin Booker's going to have to do way more. He's easier to key in on because you're the Lakers. You're a great defense. I lean on the Lakers here. I had them in game 2. I lean on them here. But I think there are better plays on the board. By the way, Anthony Davis, if you're looking at him tonight, points, rebounds, it's 34.5. So his average is about 30. He's obviously, you're hoping, we see a 25 and 13 type of game here. For just points, Anthony Davis is 25.5, minus 108.
I like the over there. I think AD goes off.
Yeah, he's gonna and they don't have that many options offensively, and he's the bell cow, I think, offensively for them. So yeah, I agree. Final game: Portland and Denver. Series is 1-1. We head to Portland. Portland a 3.5-point favorite. Total 227.5. Shout out to the Nuggets. I made the comment after game one, it wouldn't surprise me if this group gets swept. And I mean that. Outside of Jokic and Porter, they just don't have that much. But they came back. They threw a different kind of, element to what that game was. Jokic was terrific. Portland couldn't score. But they scored enough. McCollum and Lillard, 63 and 55 in both games. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep hammering this home. I've been on the over both games. I'm not going to change here. Over, over, over. If this total is in the 220s, I'm going to keep betting it. These teams are too efficient. These defenses are not good enough. There's a good pace in this game with Portland. Denver's efficient. No one can guard Jokic. No one can guard McCollum and Lillard. The problem that the Nuggets have, and I'm going to keep throwing this home. Last year in these series, they could go to Will Barton. They could go to Gary Harris. They could go to Jeremy Grant. All good defenders. They don't have that luxury this year. Michael Porter, they have to play. They can't substitute him for offense, defense. He's got to play. And he's a great over guy because he doesn't stop anybody and he scores. And all due respect to Facundo Campazzo, Austin Rivers, Howard, whoever they throw out there, I'm not running to bet them.
Shaq Harrison.
Yeah, I'm not running to bet those cats defensively either. Over. I played it at 227.5, and that's all a play for me here. What do you like? Anything?
I like the over. But, I'm taking your pick of the over. For whatever reason, I just have so much trouble seeing those numbers. But if I were to pick this game, pick a side, I'd pick the Blazers. Full disclosure, I've been seeing this series like Stevie Wonder so far. I've been off on both games.
It's tough. I hear you.
But I found an interesting nugget as I was going through stuff. So in game one, it's all about for the key for Portland is keeping Jokic outside of the center of the court. If he plays in front of the basket, like extended to the 3-point line, right? So like foul line, like up through the paint, up at the top of the key, right? That's when he goes. That's when he has the most success, and that's when everybody's the most open. In game one, Jokic was 14 for 27, had 12 attempts in the middle of the court, right? From whether it be like layups or threes or whatever, free throw line jumpers, whatever. Game two, he was 15 for 20. Listen to this, Jeff. He was 14 for 16 in that range. Wow. That's the key. So if Nurkic can keep Jokic on the move, right? If he can keep him on one side of the court or another side of the court, the Blazers will win this game. If you see Jokic at the top of the key like this for the first half and no changes, the Nuggets will win this game because that is the way that Jokic dominates.
Yeah, and that's all due respect to the Portland Trailblazers, but I don't really feel like they're going to do that. Or are they capable of doing that? Who do they do that with?
It would have to be with Nurkic, but
he's not a defender.
But he's not
a good defender.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with Nurkic and Kanter, it's not really,
I never thought I'd say this. This is where you miss Whiteside, maybe. He was a good defender. That's one thing Whiteside does well. And he's made way too much money in his career being a pretty good defender. But, yeah, there's been a lot of moves made this year in the NBA that I scratch my head about. Mainly, why didn't the Raptors trade Lowry? Why did the Clippers get rid of Lou Williams? And why did, Portland seems every year to just say, like, hey, we don't really care that much about defense. We might make a move, but it's not going to really change our defense because it still sucks. Like, you had Robert Covington, and I guess Robert Covington this year, he's been okay, but Robert Covington's actually a pretty good shooter. I've noticed that with him, and I saw that in Philly when he was here. But, yeah, I have no interest in betting against totals here as far as unders. I have no interest in unders with these two teams. But you're right. I don't think, and to answer your question, I don't think they do that. I don't think they're capable of doing that, to be really honest with you. Jokic is just, if you sit down and actually watch Jokic, he is a real throwback. He is a real a treasure to watch. He just plays his game, People want to speed it up. He'll bring it up to court. He's crafty, man. He's really terrific.
I'll say this. If you enjoy watching Luka play, I don't know how you also don't enjoy watching Jokic play. They both are like the same, kind of slow, kind of one step at a time, but just dominating guys with ball fakes and jab steps and just step backs.
They're just crafty. They're high basketball IQ. I've said before, and I'll say this to the day I die when it comes to basketball, I absolutely adore European players and the way they play. I know a lot of people don't, but in that area of the world as well, the Balkans, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, those types of players, I absolutely love. I mean, from Drazen Petrovic to Toni Kukoc to Dino Raja to Goran Dragic to Luka to
Bogdanovic's.
Yeah, they're terrific. They're so Pages from Serbia. I mean, they're just great, man. They've done a lot for the league. They've opened the basketball up a lot, and I love them. I'm from that area of the world, so I love that group. So, shout out to Jokic. He's a treasure, man. I think, did I ask you this before? He's tough too. I wouldn't want to get into it with him either. He has that silent energy where he'll just 1-2 you real quick.
Did you see? You saw him like what was it? Game 2. He was yelling and got a tech, and Mike Malone's holding him back, and I was like, okay, Jokic's a little fiery here.
I'm telling you, Jokic is, and this is in this country. I think we've been deluded with what a real gangster is. Real gangsters don't. They just do it, and you don't know they're gonna do it. You don't even think about it. That's Jokic. Jokic will just jab an ice pick in your neck, and you don't even know it. Like that's like Jokic is a tough guy, man.
In Goodfellas, when Henry Hill when he gets popped, he said, "I knew it was the police because I heard them coming."
No, he said, you're totally right. He said, "I knew it was the police because if it were a gangster, I wouldn't have heard a thing." Yeah,
there you go.
Because remember, the cop goes, "You move, I'll blow you." Remember? He goes, "Gangsters don't talk about it like that. They just do it." Jokic is a tough dude, man. He's going to just bang, bang, boom. You're not even going to see it. You're going to be like, whoa. That silent energy is crazy. There are a couple guys I don't screw with in the NBA. The Morris brothers and Jokic.
Nope. James Johnson either. I don't know. I think James Johnson is on the bench in Dallas, but that dude, no one messes with him either.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But no, I remember when the Morris brothers, they're from Philly. They're from South Philly, actually. Went to prep charter. I've heard stories about them. Like, whenever they're fighting, it's both of them. And they ride out for each other, right? NFL, Marvin Harrison was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know anything about Marvin Harrison? He's that kind of guy, too. You don't talk about Marvin Harrison in this town. No. By the way, on the Sit Down, my Mafia podcast, we might have to do an episode on Marvin Harrison because he's wild outside of football. Let me just put it that way.
His Wikipedia page is worth it's worth a deep
yeah. And what's on the Wikipedia page, there's a lot that's not on the Wikipedia page, just from Hood Legends, by the way.
I'm sure.
All right, let's do best bets and let's get on out of here. I would want Jokic with me if I was going to collect money. Exactly. He's an enforcer, man. He's like, if you ever watch, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I would see Jokic in Taken or something. Like,
oh yeah, Jokic is definitely somebody in Taken, like the bad guy though. Yeah, he's not.
By the way, he does not kidnap people. I'm just saying that.
No,
he does not.
By all accounts, he seems to be a very good guy.
Yeah.
Speaking
of real quick of Serbian and Bosnians, have you ever looked into Nurkic's father? Have you ever looked into that?
No.
Yeah. So Nurkic, you know obviously how big he is, right?
Yeah.
His father in Bosnia is a police officer.
Oh, I thought this was Jokic. I know. Yeah, go ahead.
In Bosnia, and he's like in a small little town. He's like a town legend. He's like 400 pounds, like 6'8". Like he's huge. And I remember
like a mountain of a man. Yeah.
I remember when Nurkic was with Denver. He went to a game, and he was huge. He looked like Like that wrestler. What's that wrestler's name? Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah, like he is gigantic. It's crazy. Those people, man, are interesting, man. But in those areas of the world, man, you see all sorts of crazy stuff, man. Big people. You see little people. Like that, the kid in Dagestan, the little kid that runs around. You seen that kid on the internet? You didn't see that
I've
kid?
never heard of that word before. Dagestan? I've no idea what that is.
You never seen Hospila? Oh, my God. You got to look him up.
Nah.
Oh, I got to get a picture of Hospila. Hold on. Let me share my screen here, cuz. You got to see this guy. Wow. You haven't seen Hospila yet? Oh, my God. I got to show you him. Let me share my screen on this. Hold on. You're in for a really, real treat.
As I wait with bated
All right,
breath.
you see the screen?
Nah, just you still.
Hold on. Let me share it here. Look at this.
Okay, there we go.
The guy's 18. He's 18.
Shut up.
I swear. Look at him.
That is a 4-year-old child at the best.
No, he's 18. He's electric.
No chance.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's crazy.
Somebody needs to get that baby from behind the wheel of that boat.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And he boxes and stuff. He's an MMA guy. He's hilarious. But yeah, in those areas of the world, whether it's Russia or the Balkans, I mean, you see all sorts of big people, little people. It's crazy. All right.
I wonder what that's about.
Yeah. Best bets.
All right.
I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to take the Milwaukee Bucks 1.5. And I'm going to go with the Trailblazers and Denver Nuggets over 227. What about you, Martin Weiss? What do you like?
Our best bets are in lockstep, dude, because I already gave out Bucks money line. So dude, I've just gotten hooked so much this year that I'm just taking the money line. Like I'm just whenever I see 1.5, I'm just taking the money line. And I'm tailing you on that over, dude, because I've seen the way these 2 games have gone, and listen, these guys aren't missing shots, and they're not being guarded. So it's
I told you before, and you didn't do it last time, but if you do it this time, you better hop off next game, because I can't be mushed on this.
I hear you.
I'm kidding. You wouldn't mush me. You're terrific. Martin Weiss, before we go, let us know where exactly we can find you, what you have going on. You're doing it all. You're getting your advanced journalism and all sorts of stuff. You're just doing a great job. You're probably going the way I should have went. I have nothing. No sort of degree.
That's not true. You got the Hoops Betting Hour, in which I come on your show. You got your show. You know what? I don't got a show. How about that?
But you know what? It's me looking at my life and saying I'm just half of a gambler, and that's about it. But hey, you know what? In this day and age, you don't need college. You make your own way in life, as I have.
You really
Shout out
don't.
to me. Bootstraps. I made my own way in life. Like Sonny said in A Bronx Tale, you get 2 educations. One in school, and then you leave school and you come to the University of Belmont Avenue where you learn the street smarts. Martin, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Martin Weiss, on Instagram at Martin Weiss, giving out the Weiss advice Monday through Friday for Extra Points Podcast.
Love that.
Lemon Pepper Parlay Podcast dropped yesterday. Tune in for one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever heard in my life, and I had to argue. Just Rob Parker is of the belief that the Warriors may not want to re-sign Steph Curry, and I just can't imagine why they would anybody. Yeah, so if you want to check that out, Lemon Pepper Parlay Podcast, you can hear that and all my other stuff going on there. So,
please tell me you didn't write that joke.
No, I promise you, dude. That's absurdity.
It really is. Really, really, really is. As always, we are here every day at noon Eastern. We'll be back tomorrow with yet another show. We're breaking down all the games. That's what we do here for free. Spread, total, props, all sorts of stuff here on the show, on the Hoops Betting Hour. Before we go, if you enjoy the mob, you enjoy mob history, you like mafia movies, go check out my podcast, The Sit Down, a Crime Mafia podcast. We had a show yesterday we dropped. If you enjoyed Donnie Brasco, you enjoy that movie, which I have put that into a perfect film category. I think it's absolutely terrific. It is very true, and we talked about it on yesterday's episode where we talked about a guy called Joe Messino, basically the last Don of the American mob. All sorts of treachery in his life. Go check out that show. We got some great ones coming up as well. We're going to talk to gangsters. We're going to talk to FBI agents. We're going to talk to all sorts of people coming up on that show. So make sure you check it out. I am the big man on campus. He is Martin Weiss. Make sure you check him out. That Weiss advice, that's a great name. A great name.
Thanks. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Weave and Achieve. That's one of my buddies. Weave and Achieve. From a former NBA podcast. The Three-Man Weave.
That's also a very good basketball name. Shout out to the other Three-Man Weave, the college basketball Three-Man Weave. Good friends of the show as well. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy your... By the way, it seems like Friday, doesn't it? It's only Thursday.
It does.
I thought it was Friday today when I woke up, but it's Thursday. That just means we get Friday tomorrow. Have a great night. Enjoy the day. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Hoops Betting